This meeting is being held in compliance with the Brown Act. SCAG offices are open for members of the public to attend and participate in person. Instructions for providing public comment have been provided in advance and are also included in the agenda packet. If a member of this body is attending remotely but is not at a location specified on the agenda, they may observe and comment as a member of the public, but may not participate in any member discussion or voting of this body. For all members participating remotely, please ensure your microphone is muted when not in use. Please state your name during deliberations and whether making a motion or offering a second. Any voting member or member of the public calling into this meeting by telephone can press *6 to mute and unmute. All telephone participants should identify themselves prior to speaking. SCAG encourages all members of the public to participate in its meetings. We are committed to holding meetings accessible to people with disabilities. For members of the public requiring ADA accommodation, please call 213-236-1895. SCAG offers free interpretation services for members of the public needing information in another language. Please call 213-236-1895. The meeting will now begin.
Well, good morning, everyone. Today is Thursday, July 2nd, 2026. The meeting of the Transportation Committee will be called to order in a second as soon as we can verify we have a quorum.
Mr. Chair, we do have a quorum.
Okay.
We are waiting to confirm a special number because a member of the body has requested to participate using the Brown Act's Just Cause exemption, Supervisor Wagner from Orange County. I understand that he is on the line, and once we get a 26th person in the room, he can participate as a member of the committee. You are free to start the meeting now.
Great.
And we'll confirm when we get that 26th person.
Thank you very much. All right. As a reminder, if a member of this body is attending remotely but is not at a location specified on the agenda, they may observe and comment as a member of the public, but may not participate in any member discussion or voting of this body. Can I please have Commissioner Ahir lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. All right, so we went through the quorum stuff already. Have we received any public comments prior to the meeting?
No, Mr. Chair, we have not received any public comments either before or after yesterday's 5 o'clock deadline.
Okay. I want to open to public comments of the meeting for items not on the agenda. Okay. Did we receive any public comment or any written public comments after the deadline of 5 p.m. on Wednesday, July 1st?
We have not.
Okay, thank you very much. Do we have any member of the public who wish to speak on matters not listed on the agenda here in the room or online? No? Okay. Great. I want to close the public comment period for matters not listed on the agenda and move us into consent and action items. Okay. Do we have any members of the public who wish to speak on the consent calendar?
I don't see any raised hands.
Great. Anybody in the room? Nope. All right. In order to save time, if anybody wants to pull anything from the consent calendar, I ask that we have staff presentations before moving to roll call vote of the consent calendar.
Mr. Chair, I see that you have Mr. Reyes with a raised hand and Mayor Navarro online also with a raised hand.
Let's go with Mayor Navarro first.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to move the consent calendar.
I'll second.
Perfect. All right, we have a motion and a second for consent. So. Hmm? What we
So,
got?
Mr. Chair, at this point, I will raise an administrative issue for your consideration and the committees. In addition to today's consent calendar, you've got 4 action items on your agenda. I know that certain members of the committee very much appreciate the economy of and efficiency. So it is up to the chair whether you want to vote on all those items together in one vote. Because remember that because we're having a remote meeting, the Brown Act requires a roll call vote for each of these items. So you can either do one roll call vote for the consent and then one for each of the 4 action items, or you can consolidate them into one. And I see one raised hand for one. 3 action items? I thought it was 4. 3 action items, I apologize. Really up to your discretion, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, that's fine with me. We can do it that way. That
Okay.
works better. So if there's any objections to that? Don't see any. Cool. Let's see. What's that one out there?
Just a reminder to the members of the committee to put down your name tag once you've been recognized. Thank you.
I get confused easily. Thanks. All right. We'll move on to our first action item then. First action item, the draft 2027 FTIP and Connect SoCal 2024 Draft Amendment 2 release for public review and comment. And we're still keeping,
Yes.
and Stephanie Chin will be presenting this. Thank you.
Good morning. Good morning, Chair Judge and Vice Chair Lee and members of the Transportation Committee. My name is Stephanie Chin, and I'm a Senior Regional Planner in Integrated Planning and Programming. And I'm here today to present to you on the draft 2027 Federal Transportation Improvement Program and Connect SoCal 2024 Draft Amendment Number 2. Both documents are being developed concurrently so that when approved, the 2027 FTIP will align with Connect SoCal 2024. And the purpose of this item is to request that the Transportation Committee approves a recommendation to authorize the release of the draft 2027 FTIP and draft Connect SoCal Amendment Number 2 on July 6th. So first of all, just really quick, what is the FTIP? The FTIP is a list of transportation projects that are federally funded or are subject to a federal action or are regionally significant from an air quality standpoint. So these types of projects need to be in an approved FTIP in order to move forward toward implementation. The FTIP covers 6 years of programming. It's multimodal, and it is SCAG's responsibility to work on it with the CTCs and submit it to Caltrans and the feds. And then on this last point here, whereas Connect SoCal is a long-range plan, the FTIP is just like a snapshot of upcoming projects. And those projects need to align with Connect SoCal in order to be included in the FTIP. And so in that way, it's a key means of implementing Connect SoCal and its projects and priorities. So the 2027 FTIP, where is this money coming from? As you can see here, the majority of funding comes from local fund sources, followed by state and then federal funds. And these proportions are similar to what we've seen in previous FTIP cycles, but they are subject to change as projects, receive grants and we update the document. And all of this adds up to over $48.5 billion over the 6 years of the FTIP. Where is this money going? The $48.5 billion is programmed to over 1,800 projects throughout the region. $25 billion of that is going towards highway and road projects and $23 billion towards transit. The largest percentage of highway road funding is going toward highway improvements, and the next highest category is highway maintenance. And then for transit, the largest transit investments are transit improvements, which are things like rail extensions, transit equipment and facilities, and bus rehab and replacements. A key aspect of the FTIP, as well as plan amendments, is ensuring that we continue to maintain transportation conformity by meeting the 5 tests on this slide. So the FTIP, the 2027 FTIP, meets all of these tests in that it is consistent with Connect SoCal 2024, includes a regional emissions analysis, showcases timely implementation of transportation control measures, demonstrates financial constraint, and reflects that the analyses are done through the interagency consultation and public involvement process. So moving on to amendment number 2, why do we need plan amendments? Well, there have been significant changes to projects that are included in Connect SoCal. And in order for those projects to remain eligible for their funding and to move forward, they need to be in a conforming RTP SCS. And so they need to match what's in Connect SoCal 2024, and that's what this amendment number 2 does. Amendment number 2 consists of 722 project modifications, and here's just a few of them listed on the slide. As you can see, there are project modifications in every county throughout our region. Thorough staff analysis of these modifications has found that the plan remains financially constrained and still meets those 5 tests for transportation conformity. And it is also compliant with SB 375. Taking a look ahead at our schedule, with your recommendation and RC approval, we would open the public comment period on July 6th until August 4th. And in that time period, we would hold 2 public hearings. And then after public comment period closes, we would come back to you in September with the proposed final documents of both the 2027 FTIP and amendment number 2. And then we would expect federal approval in mid-December of this year. And with that, I'm happy to take any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that report. Are there any members of the public who wish to speak on this item?
Hackman moves the item.
Okay. Just a second, I have a couple comments. So now we'll take, nobody in the public wishes to speak, and we're going to go with the comments from the members of the Transportation Committee. And we'll start with Member Kelly.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to note, as the TCA representative on this committee, I wanted to advise the Transportation Committee members that there may be some additional TCA capital improvement projects that will need to be included in the draft 2027 FTIP and Amendment 2 to the 2024 RTP SCS. And I have provided a heads up to SCAG staff, and my staff at the TCA is looking into the issue. During the 30-day public comment period, we'll coordinate with staff from OCTA and SCAG on these additions to ensure there are no omissions moving forward of the TCA projects in the final documents. Just a heads up.
Thank you. All right. Okay. Council member here. Commissioner.
Thank you. And thank you for your presentation. My question would be, would you have an example of what kind of performance target you're looking at? And if there is a region that you have already, worked with successfully so far for any kind of non-modeled or modeled projects?
Programming. You would think I would know how to use that by now. Warren Whitaker, Manager of Integrated Planning and Programming. So the performance measures that we include in here are the same performance measures that are in Connect SoCal 2024. In particular, we look at the federal performance measures because the FTIP is specifically required to meet federal requirements.
Those are PM1, which is safety, PM2, which are asset conditions like pavement condition and bridge condition, and pavement 3, which is kind of a potpourri one, which does everything from air quality to travel time reliability. On that, a lot of depending on the performance measures, some of them tend to be backwards looking rather than being able to look at a specific project and say, yes, that one is assertively going to move the needle at a regional scale. So that's not typically super clear there. However, and this is going to be a different item for you, I think in September, when we do the STBG, the Surface Transportation Block Grant and Congestion Mitigation Air Quality Improvement Program, the program guidelines for those, we specifically evaluate projects against those performance measures. So it's in there. So as the previous question where it referenced Orange County Transportation Authority, the county transportation commissions, because state law requires them to build county transportation improvement programs, collect the projects in there, and then submit them to SCAG. They are responsible for ensuring that a performance-based process is occurring at the county level before it gets submitted to SCAG.
Okay.
Then we do a systems level performance evaluation on the projects, with the exception of that call for projects process that you guys will be actively involved in. So hopefully that helps too.
Can I do a follow-up?
Sure.
It says that you will partner with Caltrans as well for these projects. Is there a regulatory relationship between Caltrans and the SCAG staff members? Because I would like to kind of gain some insight on how that works.
Yes, there's multiple ones. In fact, I think you probably heard a couple of weeks ago. In fact, I think June 15th was the end of the public comment period for the federal certification review. That is specifically our relationship and how we address the federal performance, the Metropolitan Transportation Planning process in the SCAG region. As part of that, we have two key partners that are identified in federal law. That is the State Department of Transportation, Caltrans, and so we have a lot of agreements with them. The other is transit operators in the region, which depending on which county transportation you talk about, some of them are also transit operators. So we have multiple agreements both with the transit operators as well as Caltrans. And in fact, we have a new MOU with Caltrans that's pending execution that establishes those performance measures, how we do our planning process, but the SDBG, CMAQ call for projects, when those projects are awarded, we get them programmed, and then they essentially then go through a process where it goes through either Caltrans or the Federal Transit Administration. So there's ongoing collaborative work on there, and which are dictated by whether state or federal requirements. So we can go into a lot of more detail if you have specific questions on there, but
No, that's fine. So the funding will expedite this or streamline this process.
I don't know, expedite would be the word that I would use
Okay.
when we're talking state or federal funds. But yes, theoretically, yes,
Okay. Thank you for answering.
sure.
Thank you. Commissioner Wu.
Thank you, Chair. Just seeking some information, or maybe you can educate me about the regional emissions analysis. And I've also read things about the expected lockdown related to particularly Coachella Valley. Have we found a solution for this? And going forward, we're going to prepare the Connect SoCal 2050. So what is the status on that? And
Okay.
how does it affect this FTIP?
So we are being proactive, and that's part of the reason why you know about the issue that's not an issue yet, but we expect that it's going to be an issue down the road. That isn't an issue, and as Stephanie indicated, it meets all the conformity requirements. So we are still good. We think for Connect SoCal 2050, we will, fingers crossed, we will be able to receive the federal conformity determination on there. The rub is exactly when the provisions that Legion talked about, I think she provided a presentation to EEC, so that might be worthwhile if someone's interested in looking at the recording for that. We could probably also bring an item to TC if TC is interested in that. It in part has to do with some of the waivers and the waivers that California used to have going away. And so part of the way that California made its fleet cleaner isn't an option anymore. So that means when we're having these budgets for the transportation impacts on the conformity, we can't meet those. And that's part of the issue there. So there's a number of lawsuits that are in play. There's a lot of different moving pieces in there. It's something we're tracking. We're looking to avoid it. It'll be something that we will continually update you. There's not a current problem that will impact projects that you would be approving for the release. And then when we come back in September for approval, we will still be okay on this FTIP, as well as likely going into the Connect SoCal 2050. That doesn't mean that we won't have issues down the road. There's like 5 or 7, major issues that Legion's constantly worrying about. So these issues never really go away. We resolve one and then something else pops up. It's definitely like a whack-a-mole type of issue when you talk about transportation conformity. So we resolve an issue and then we look forward to the next issue that we have to resolve. It's a continuous issue.
Okay, so right now the world is unworkable, but so
Yes.
structure, we'll be able to find a working solution?
There will ultimately, we've always found a solution.
Okay.
How hard it may be or not will be a different issue, but we will find a solution.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments for you? All right, moving on. Thank you very much for that presentation, by the way. Take the motions at the end, right?
Yes.
Cool. All right, we're going to move on to number 5, SCAG Toll Credit Transportation Development Credit Policy. And this will be presented by Mariana Polito, Principal Regional Planner for SCAG. Thank you very much. No worries.
Good morning. Good morning, Chair Judge, Vice Chair Wong, and members of the Transportation Committee. I'm Mariana Pulido, Principal Planner in the Federal Transportation Improvement Program. Today, we're requesting your recommendation that the Regional Council approve the SCAG Toll Credit and Transportation Development Credit, or TC-TDC policy. The proposed policy is included in, I believe that's page 44 of your agenda packet. And I'll briefly summarize what toll credits are, why the policy is needed, and what this will accomplish. So for a little bit of background, the toll credits are also referred to as transportation development credits. They're not additional funding, rather, they're a federal financing tool that allows eligible agencies to use the credits in place of the required local match. So they're used on federally funded transportation projects, and it allows eligible projects to receive up to 100% federal share, which preserves transportation dollars for other transportation priorities. How are toll credits generated? They are generated when toll revenues are invested in eligible transportation improvements, such as constructing, reconstructing, improving, or maintaining toll facilities. Because those investments are made with non-federal dollars, federal law allows the state to earn credits that can later be used to satisfy the non-federal matching requirement on eligible federal transportation projects. While toll credits do not create new funding, they do allow agencies to maximize their available funding by reducing or eliminating their need for local cash match. You may also hear the term toll credit and transportation development credit used interchangeably. Generally, toll credits are referred to their use on FHWA programs, and transportation development credits are referred to their use for Federal Transit Administration programs. But functionally, they serve the same purpose. Historically, Caltrans has administered the use of toll credits. They review requests, approve their use, and track the statewide balance. But as statewide toll credit usage has increased, the remaining balance has become more limited. And as a result, Caltrans has delegated this management to the Metropolitan Planning Organizations, or MPOs, via an adopted interim toll credit use policy, which was released in March of this year. And so in order to ensure that the remaining credits are managed consistently and remain available through fiscal year 27-28, Caltrans, well, I'm sorry, SCAG is now is now bringing forth this toll credit policy. As part of the new framework, SCAG has been allocated approximately $163.7 million in toll credits through fiscal year 27-28. So the policy before you today implements Caltrans requirements within the SCAG region by establishing a consistent and transparent process for allocating, programming, tracking, and reporting toll credits. Consistent with Caltrans methodology, the county planning allocations are based on each county's proportional share of FTA formula funding, and that includes sections 5307, 5310, and 5339. Also, the Surface Transportation Block Grant Funds, or STBG, and Congestion Mitigation and Air Quality Improvement, or CMAQ funding. These county allocations serve as planning caps to guide FTIP programming, and they are not guaranteed or reserve amounts. The policy also provides flexibility for SCAG to reassign unused credits among the counties when appropriate in order to maximize the region's use of these limited resources. So approval of this policy will ensure that SCAG remains compliant with the Caltrans interim toll credit use policy, while providing a transparent regional framework that preserves local transportation dollars, maximizes available federal funding, and supports timely project delivery throughout the SCAG region. So with that, staff recommends that the Transportation Committee recommend approval of the SCAG toll credit transportation development credit policy. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
Are there any members of the public who wish to speak on this item? All right. Are there any members of the Transportation Committee which want to speak on this item? Okay. Commissioner Manos.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. The RCTC reached out to, I'm assuming, several members, but including ourselves, to go ahead and communicate on a number of the issues that we're talking about. This one in particular, the $17 million allocation, roughly, for RCTC Riverside County area will cover projects roughly through about 2028, and after that, projects will begin to rely on the cash scarce local sources, as you mentioned in your report. The challenge is that it seems the calculation that comes down from Caltrans is diminishing, and I think you kind of highlighted that a little bit. And I don't know who we got to talk to, or I don't know if staff can go ahead and lead the charge on this. I don't know if this is an elected or a policy process. But those toll credit allocations, there need to be changed. There needs to be an increased portion for these counties. Otherwise, these projects are going to stall out. It's just going to be tough to go ahead and get things done and moving forward in the future.
Apparently red lights to me don't mix. Again, Warren Whitaker, Manager of Integrated Planning. Sorry, I cut off Mariana on there. Yes, we agree. To be clear, this is a stopgap measure. In large part, I'm not going to put Marlin on the spot because this had nothing to do with Marlin. Caltrans wasn't really doing their homework. They admitted it. In order to get the toll credits are generated from anything that generates tolls and then gets reinvested. So there's a whole like maintenance of effort. And you have to do the paperwork. You have to demonstrate that you're collecting that. Problem is we had a lot of money. And so we kind of went to town for a lot of years and it wasn't really well tracked. But then we had to, just like when you give your kids a credit card, you have to account for how did we get here? So we're kind of at that point now. We're doing the true up. Caltrans has committed to doing better documentation. They're working with all the toll operators, the transportation corridor agencies, a lot of the Bay Area, so like Bay Area Transit or Toll Authority, to figure out, okay, what is our new amount that we're collecting and establish a new kind of ongoing bucket of TC and TDC going forward. So after 2028, this issue should be resolved and it shouldn't be a problem. This is kind of a stopgap measure. So as we think, some of them, so like RCTC, because they have a couple of projects that are kind of going out, they'll likely use up that 3-year allotment right off the get-go. Some of the others it might take a little bit longer. And so that's kind of why there is that option for, borrowing or kind of moving around the region, depending on what we need in order to get projects actually delivered. That being said, we wanted to be sure that we had a very transparent process. We essentially cascaded the process that Caltrans established down to the counties. That's how it is. If I'm not true, if I'm inaccurate in how it's going to be after this, we will come back. Likely, after, the numbers are done and they're shared with FHWA, we get a new allotment. It'll be a thing that you never hear about. You might see like in a future programming document that there's toll credit or TDC, but you'll never have to hear about it again. Hopefully this is like a one-time thing that you get to hear about because we have a problem and, you have the credit card and we have to resolve the issue, but hopefully it's a one-time thing.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Thank you very much for that presentation. All right, going to move on to action item number 6. Our last mile freight program, reopening an application selection process. And Ryan Lewis, senior regional planner, will be presenting this.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me. So Ryan Laws, Senior Regional Planner with the Goods Movement and Aviation Business Unit. I'm here to ask that TC recommend that the Regional Council approve the Last Mile Freight Program rebate program opportunity reopen this July. As a reminder here, the program itself initially opened back in the fall, and we came to you all back in March to move forward with a number of projects. We'd indicated at that point, since there was still funding available, that we would want to reopen. So that's what I'm here for. Okay, so a little recap on the program itself. The program itself is a part of US EPA's climate pollution reduction grants. It was applied for in partnership with South Coast Air Quality Management District, in which South Coast was awarded a total of $500 million in funding, a little bit less than that, but roughly that total. What SCAG is doing is implementing Measure 2.2 of that overall program. It invests money into a rebate program that goes out to fleets that want to deliver zero emissions last mile delivery vehicles. And there's a total of $50 million available for those rebates. Now, in the initial opening, it focused on specifically Class 4 and Class 5 battery electric vehicle technology. There was a vehicle replacement requirement for existing diesel vehicles, and there was a rebate cap of $67,000 per vehicle. Now, after putting out that version of the program, we had 13 applications 3 of which met all of our requirements and we moved forward with, ended up being roughly $1 million in funding to those projects. We, at that point, and since then, have conducted outreach to a number of folks in industry to try to understand what's kind of going on out there, where the demand is, and how we can improve the program in order to increase participation in this next round. And as such, we worked with AQMD to do that. One of the biggest things we've done here is expanded the eligibility. So like I said before, it was Class 4 and Class 5 technology at first. Now we're going with trucks that are all the way from Class 4 to Class 8, so the large semis as well. The expanded eligibility also means that we're adjusting the rebate amounts. So it's not just a $67,000 rebate, but the rebate amounts actually ramp up depending on the size of the vehicle, because those vehicles are more expensive. And also their diesel and gasoline equivalents tend to emit more. So they're deserving of more funding from that standpoint as well. As I kind of just mentioned there, we're also going to be having the scrappage requirement fulfilled not just by diesel vehicles, but also gasoline vehicles. So that means that fleets out there that maybe don't have diesel technology in their current fleet, but have gasoline, especially for the Class 4 through 6 models, or specifically for Class 4 through 6, they can participate through scrappage of those vehicles as well. And at this point, we're finalizing some of the collateral and outreach materials that we're going to be using for the reopening. We're working directly with South Coast on that. We're also preparing our website and application portal for folks to use currently. And the expectation is that the program will open this month. We don't know exactly when, because it depends on when all those materials are going to be ready. And we have to go through an approval process with South Coast Air Quality Management District, along with US EPA, in order to make sure that we have all of our ducks in a row. But it will be opened by July 31st. And also, I'll note that the staff report that we included here also indicates that we may be able to reopen should funding still remain available. If that is the case, then we expect that at least through a consent item, we would likely come back to this group just to let them know that we will be reopening. And back to the recommendation. So we are back to our ask, and that is that TC recommend that Regional Council approve the last mile freight program, rebate program reopening. And I'll take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any members of the public who wish to speak on this item? Thank you. I'll now take comments from members of the Transportation Committee. Commissioner McCallum.
Thank you very much. Part of the issue will be finding Class 4, 5, and 6 trucks that are available as electric vehicles. There are very few that are in existence, and the regular OEMs aren't working on those kind of class of trucks. Currently, Class 8, we've got Tesla coming online right now with their truck, but the 4, 5, and 6 trucks are not readily available. I know right now the Voltu in Riverside is being able to produce, or not in quantity yet, but F350 class trucks, and eventually we'll be working on the higher class trucks. But trying to find trucks that are available is going to be an issue.
Yeah, and I can briefly respond to that. So that's part of the reason why we're also expanding to Class 7 and Class 8. We recognize, especially in the Class 8 space, there's a ton of activity. And we have an existing last mile freight program, roughly $14 million, that has previously been available and has all been committed to different projects. And we've seen a large amount of Class 8 activity there. Like I said, initially when we opened, partly because we were essentially part of Measure 2.2, which was limited to Class 4 and Class 5 at the time. We recognize that there was potentially some use for vehicles all the way up to the Class 8 models for last mile use cases, but we were unable to include that in the initial scope. Now we're essentially rescoping so we can have them in there and try to address that issue. I will also say that there are definitely some Class 4 or 5 outfits that are doing vehicle conversions, which is also allowed through this program. Specifically, Evo Electric, what they do is they take existing Isuzu models and they basically take out all of the guts of the vehicle and replace it with battery electric technology. That's one group that we've talked to specifically that I know is interested in the program, and they actually delivered a number of applications last time around. So we expect that they will still be active players as well, even if there are some Class 4, Class 5, and maybe even Class 6 OEMs that are a little bit apprehensive at this point.
And of course, if I might follow up, all of our cities are looking for Class 4 or 5 vehicles also to conform to the advanced clean fleet rules that are on all of our cities. And that's a difficult area to find those that are available.
Anybody else wish to speak on this item? Go ahead.
I just have to brag, Larry, we brought in a manufacturer in Fontana of Class 4 and 5, and now 7 and 8 vehicles. We had our first one at Ontario Airport called ZM Motors. So there are suppliers out there. Thank you.
If I can just add, we have also been doing some engagement with some carriers like UPS, FedEx, et cetera. And they have indicated to us that Class 6 in particular is of interest to them. Previously, as Brian indicated, we were limited to Class 4 and 5. And so that was a constraint. With opening it up to Class 6 and above, we do think that there is going to be considerable demand.
Okay. Anybody else? Thank you very much for that presentation.
Thank you.
All right. Now we're on the information items. So you want to take the vote on the items 1 through 6?
Yep.
Okay. Can you repeat the motion? So I know you
Hagman moves.
Perfect. Who's the second? Perfect. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll call vote for items 1 through 6.
Zia Lahir,
Yes.
Javier Amezcua, Phil Becerra,
Yes.
Ryan Bayless,
Yes.
Catherine Barger, Ryan Bergson, Austin Bishop, Jeanette Burns. Denise Delgado, Jonathan Dumitru,
Yes.
John Dutre,
Yes.
Bubba Fish,
Yes.
Jason Gibbs,
Aye.
William Go,
Yes.
Kurt Hagman,
Hagman, aye.
Jan Harnick,
Yes.
Laura Hernandez,
Hernandez, yes.
Lauren Hughes Leslie.
Lancaster, your microphone is on mute.
Miss Leslie, your vote? Heather Hutt, Mike Judge,
Yes.
Fred Jung,
Fred Jung, aye.
Artie Kasakian,
Kasakian, yes.
Trish Kelly,
Yes.
Lauren Kleiman, Linda Krupa,
Yes.
Andrew Laura, Kaylee Law,
Law, yes.
Carlos Leon, Bridget Lewis, Clint Lowermore,
Aye.
Stephen Lee,
Yes.
Ken Mann,
Marcia McLean,
Yes.
Tim McOsker, Dennis Michael, Linda Molina, Carol Moore, Lizette Mullins,
Yes.
Juan Munoz Guevara, Frank Navarro,
Yes.
David Reddy,
Yes.
Aye.
Crystal Ruiz,
Yes.
Ali Soleil, Steve Sanchez,
Aye.
Tim Sandoval, Zach Schwank, Emma Sharif, Assam Sheikh, Marty Siminoff,
Yes.
Ward Smith,
Yes.
Hilda Solis, Wes Speak, Karen Spiegel,
Spiegel, yes.
Cynthia Sternquist,
Yes.
Butch Twining, Alan Wapner, This is 38 in favor, 0 against, and 1 abstention.
Thank you very much.
This is Mayor Vargas. I did not hear my name called. You went kind of silent, but I'm here and I will support it.
Mr. Chair, Reese, I did not hear Reese. Reese supports.
And I didn't hear Weintraub, Alicia Weintraub, and I support.
And this is Bill Uphoff. I support.
Great.
Thank you, received.
Don, you're mute. You're unmuted. Don Wagner's trying to say he supports it.
Can you please confirm that Hughes, Leslie, and Mann's vote of yes was recorded?
Wagner's an aye.
Thank you, sir.
Perfect.
Can you please confirm that Hughes, Leslie, and Mann votes are recorded?
Votes received for Mann and Hughes Leslie.
And can you please confirm for Alicia Weintraub?
Traub, thank you.
Okay. We're going to move on to our information items. Number 7 is Transportation Committee Outlook and Future Agenda Items. This will be presented by Annie Nem.
Good morning. I'm going to take this presentation from my seat here. It's just a very brief overview. Just a reminder that the TC Outlook essentially reflects the outcomes of the 2026 Executive Administration Committee retreat that was had just a few weeks ago, back in the early part of June, and it was discussed with the TC chair as well as vice chair. The committee outlook is also included as a part of your agenda packet. I believe it's on page 78, and it will be updated monthly as a receive and file item and can be pulled by the chair for discussion at the request of members for input and modification. So this is really just a framework for what we expect for the coming fiscal year. So that said, let me just quickly highlight what we have on the screen here today. I'm not going to go over everything, but just some quick highlights. July obviously reflects today's agenda. We are dark in August. In September, we're going full force on Connect SoCal 2050. I think it was mentioned earlier. We're in the process of updating Connect SoCal. We're currently operating under the 2024 Connect SoCal adoption. We will be adopting the Connect SoCal 2050 in 2028, the updates. And so in September, we'll be focusing on core aspects of policy development framework, as well as jumpstarting project list solicitation. And we do an extensive solicitation working with our county transportation commissions to provide input into the transportation projects process. We will also come back, given the approval that you just made for the draft 2027 FTIP public review, we will come back for the final approval of the 2027 FTIP. And we will also, and I have it here in September, we anticipate it'll probably be around September, October framework. The program guidelines for update for our federal fiscal year 29 and 30 STBG CMAQ call for projects. And this is the federal formula funding that we allocate on a competitive basis that we've been doing. This will essentially be our third cycle. It's roughly in the previous cycle, we allocated roughly $1.2 billion. We do anticipate that it'll be approximately the same, roughly $1.2 billion. And so we'll be spending quite a bit of time, again, on the program guidelines and the allocation process over the coming year. In October, again, focused on Connect SoCal, we'll initiate our focus on the financial forecast, including going over the core revenue forecast. As you may know, the Connect SoCal, the RTP component of our plan of Connect SoCal, the regional transportation plan needs to be financially constrained per federal requirements. And so we go through a pretty extensive process of assessing revenue availability going out to the horizon year of 2050 and assessing costs associated with the projects included in our plan. Next slide. Okay. So in November, we're coming back with Connect SoCal operations and maintenance policies. We will also be providing an update on our games TDM strategy efforts. You'll actually, following my presentation, you'll be hearing an update today as well, but we'll be periodically coming back given the importance of our work on the games. We will also be focused on regional transit target setting exercise. Again, this is all a part of federal performance measurement efforts and incorporated into our Connect SoCal work as well. We have also, we'll be actually approving our trade quarter enhancement program. So just to keep in mind, this is the state's trade quarter enhancement program. SCAG, as an MPO, is responsible for basically compiling the nominations and submitting to the California Transportation Commission for submission of the trade quarter enhancement program funds. In January, I'm sorry, I skipped December, we have a joint policy committee meeting that will focus on our economic update. In January, we will focus on our draft performance measures. I think we talked a little briefly specific to performance measures and some of the inquiries on the FTIP. And so here in January, we have a broader discussion about Connect SoCal 2050 and the performance measures. We will also look at the regional traffic safety targets for 2027, as well as an update on our regional safety action plan that we do anticipate kicking off shortly. Let's see. In February, we will come back again with focused on the financial forecast for Connect SoCal 2050. We'll also highlight some of the key elements of Connect SoCal, focusing on the mobility framework, the goods movement aviation framework, as well as the travel and tourism framework. Next slide. So I believe this is the final Outlook slide, and let me just highlight for you April here. We have a Smart City Strategic Plan that we've recently kicked off, and we do anticipate by April of the federal fiscal year 27, we will be finalizing that work and come to you with more with the final document. Periodically in between that time, I believe we also will be coming back with an update. We will, the Smart City Strategic Plan also helps launch the framework for our Smart Cities Call for Projects guidelines. We will be essentially doing a competitive process to solicit for projects that align with our Smart City Strategic Plan. We will also be doing a Connect SoCal Futures update. This is some scenario planning work that we've been conducting for Connect SoCal 2050, and that will be presented here at the Transportation Committee as well. Of course, we have General Assembly in May, and then in June, again, some I guess this is more wrap up on the draft plan components of Connect SoCal 2050, as well as the final performance measures. I should also mention that we are currently in the process of conducting a Southern California Airport ground access study. And so we will be coming to you sometime in June for the final. And I believe that concludes the agenda outlook, and I'm happy to take any questions if there are any.
Thank you. Do we have anybody, any members of the public who wish to speak on this item? No? Okay. Any members of the commission wish to speak on this item? No? Glenn? Yes, go ahead.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay, thank you. Unfortunately, this is my last year on Transportation Committee. I've been on it since 2002, but because of districts, I'm not able to run again for our city. And over the years, I've had several things that I've spoken on, and I'm just hoping that in the future, we will continue to speak on highway safety. I know that many people don't want us to have roads anymore. And they're kind of letting our roads deteriorate to the point where they're not safe. And I'm also speaking, for the North County, from Lancaster, Palmdale, Santa Clarita on into LA. And I'm hoping that on future agendas, you will be talking about that. I'm hoping that you will continue to advocate for funding for Metrolink. If they don't want us to use the roads and get out of our cars, they're going to have to start paying more attention to our Metrolink and commuters, the way that people need to get to work. So those are just a couple of things I'm hoping that we can keep on discussing, and that we will continue on into the future, and that you will have new voices that won't keep quiet like I have not kept quiet. But I'll be here for, the meetings throughout this year, but I thoroughly enjoy my time here at SCAG and feel it's very, very important for us to all speak out for our own cities and our own areas and our own counties. And I know that you will all continue to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other member of the Transportation Committee which wish to speak or comment on this? No hands? All right. Thank you very much. Moving on. I'm sorry. The Road to LA 28 Regional Transportation Demand Management TDM Strategy. And Courtney Aguirre will be presenting this.
Good morning, everyone. Courtney Aguirre with SCAG's Mobility Planning and Goods Movement Department. I function as the manager and have overseen a team that is getting prepared for the Olympics. Hopefully, my presentation isn't loaded here on this screen. That's why I didn't realize it's over there. Hopefully I can get a visual here as well to aid me. But let me just recognize the unique moment that we find ourselves within right now. As most of you must be aware, the World Cup games are underway, well underway right now. I think we have a game at 12 o'clock. I don't know if anyone else is going to be scanning their phones for the scores and updates. But, you know, it's really proved to be a tremendous opportunity for agencies across the region to test strategies, right? To test the different measures that we're going to take when the games do come to town. So our partners at Metro, Metrolink, Omnitrans, OCTA, and others, right, have all aligned, right, to get together and support the World Cup travel and mobility. I should also recognize we find ourselves only about 7 months out from the Super Bowl, which will prove to be another testing opportunity. And this month, we're going to hit another major milestone. We're only going to be 2 years out from the Olympic opening ceremonies. So when you consider that, right, we have, I think, a lot to consider, and now would be the time to lock in to the preparations. So I see my slides here now, which is wonderful. So as you noted, I am here today to share an update on our TDM strategic plan that we've been preparing alongside our partners in preparation for the games. You know, it's curious that isn't advancing, but I hope you do get slides. Oh, it doesn't show up on your screens either. Okay, forgive me,
We're
this
letting
is a
Amy
little
know right now.
wonky from the norm. So I think I also didn't
There
greet
it
the
goes.
chair, vice chair, as well as transportation committee members. Yeah, so now we can get on track. So yes, that was, you know, just a little thrown, but never completely falling. Still not there. But I do hope that many of you have had an opportunity to engage in the World Cup. Perhaps you've attended some fan fest. A group of us last night was super exciting, right? Many exciting games, nail biters. Anyone else singing the John Denver song? Take me home, country roads, right? A classic, of course. But hopefully you've gotten out there, experienced the fan fest. If you've been on transit as I have been, I've seen a lot of fans, you know, taking the metro to the games, which is exciting. But also, I think if you've even just stopped into a local bar or restaurant and seen the games on, you see how they can really activate our communities. And again, it's just an example of how mega events can offer some opportunities, again, for community connectedness, I'd say. So now that we're back on track with the slideshow, I just, again, am here to share an update on our Games TDM strategic plan. When I came to you back in April, we shared the TDM approach in this document, which is loaded online. It detailed our shared vision, goals, as well as the potential strategies that we were considering and the different areas that we are planning to focus our resources on. Since the May Regional Council meeting, when that TDM approach was approved, we've been working hard with our partners to develop a more full-body document to share with you all, something a bit meatier that digs into more of the details about how we're going to transition into the implementation phase. Now, what we'd originally envisioned, it's not moving, sorry, is that we would bring this full plan to you today. But what we are finding is that we need just a bit more time to further shape it and refine it with our partners so that we can integrate all of their feedback into something that we all feel good about. So the plan right now is to return to you in September along with the Regional Council to share that document then. But in the meantime, I'd like to just refresh the memories, and I know that we have a handful of new members, and orient you all again to what the plan will include. So the plan includes SCAG leading some initiatives alongside our partners who are going to lead according to their roles and responsibilities and expertise. But in other cases, we're going to partner where a co-leadership structure makes sense. And still in others, we plan to support either through technical assistance or funding. And still in other cases, we're going to be amplifying the work of our partners, just as we are right now for the World Cup. Sorry, it's still not going. Okay, so in terms of the areas of focus, what is going to be foundational included within the strategy are a focus on regional communications and outreach, regional wayfinding, mobility and access programs, as well as regulatory and operational policies. As I noted before, you know, the 1984 games were a bit long ago, but many of the lessons learned as well as the strategies that were deployed then still do hold. And what these foundational areas of focus are going to fuel is our shared commitment to and achievement of a shared vision and goals. We are aiming to provide a safe, reliable, and connected experience for everyone during the games, especially passengers, of course, our passengers, and our freight stakeholders. We want everyone to be taken care of and addressed during the games. Overall goal, of course, is to achieve a reduction in background demand travel. Those are our everyday trips that we find on our systems, our transportation systems. We want to reduce those everyday trips like our errands and our commutes so that we create additional capacity for folks who are traveling during the games. We know that our target audiences include diverse groups. Our reach is going to need to be broad to, again, address the needs of the spectators, the residents, our freight stakeholders, our games workforce, and volunteers. We understand that there's a recruitment underway right now. I think there's a deadline this month if you're planning to volunteer. I think they need about 50 to 65,000 folks to come out to support the effort. It's incredible, actually, to see in motion. So as I shared, we have these target audiences that we are going to be focusing on, but we know that the strategies are going to be tailored to the different audiences. We know that we can't just generally say the same thing to the same groups and expect the same outcome. So we'll be tailoring our messages, our strategies, our approaches for residents, spectators, games workforce, as I shared, these different target audiences and adapting to better meet their needs. We're also assessing TDM at the venue scale. We have 40 plus venues across the region, and we know communities surrounding them and the venues themselves are very different, right? So the different strategies that we'll be deploying, we'll have to be sensitive to that. And so we're working right now with LA28 and our partners to ensure that this analysis and this consideration is being given at the venue level. The strategies overall are going to fall into those 4 different categories that I noted earlier that are foundational to the strategic plan, including regional communications and outreach. And key among this particular strategy is a regional campaign, a partner information hub, as well as a Know Before You Go website, and direct outreach and support. And I'm sure if you have considered attending a World Cup event, a fan fest, or even a World Cup game, you've been looking on the websites, right? Trying to get to a single source of truth to understand what the parking rates are, what the bus options are, the shuttles are, and the costs. And so what we hope to do for the games is centralize this information so that our partners, our cities, our counties, our agencies have a resource to turn to, as well as spectators, residents, and everyone else coming here, right? We don't want that confusion. When you Google, right, we want, again, a centralized source that they can count on. We also are going to be focusing on regional wayfinding, as I previously shared. That'll be the physical, the digital, as well as the human wayfinding, and of course, wayfinding for freight and delivery trucks and vehicles as well. I'm sure, again, if you've visited Union Station recently, you've probably noted that they have temporary decals for the World Cup. Still have some for Dodger Stadium, of course, too. Permanent wayfinding, of course, can undergo refresh, but then you also have, in addition to that, your phone, obviously Google apps, right, that can help guide you too. And then the human wayfinding, which I noted is my favorite. And I was very, very fortunate to see some Metro MVPs and volunteers out there last week with their foam fingers. And again, that's always reassuring to me when I see a foam finger, right? Sometimes you can be intimidated, not wanting to ask for directions, but when you see that human with a shirt, jersey on, right, and the foam finger, you know you're in good hands. So in terms of other components, right, for the work, mobility and access programs will be critical. That's, your shuttles. You think right now for World Cup, everything that Metro and the partners are doing to deliver folks to SoFi in a convenient way, right? So they have 15, routes right now that they're operating, and they have seen an influx of folks who are taking advantage of that to get to SoFi in an easier way where they don't have to pay for parking. So that is, again, something that, our partners are doing right now, and we would want to bridge some of those gaps with microtransit, shuttles, support, for spectators, residents, visitors to our region with transit passes, and so on and so forth. We're also going to be counting on our regulatory and operational policies. And of course, you know how important policies are as committee members. We fully expect we're going to have to lean really hard into telework as a policy, as we have, in recent years, to achieve some of the reductions in travel, right? So that we can create and clear some way on the system for the games related travel. What we also have been doing over the past couple of months is working closely with our consultant team and our partners on a TDM dashboard, because what we know is we need more granular analysis, as I was sharing, of the venues, the community surrounding the venues, to know where impacts are going to be felt most acutely. So this particular tool is helping us on the passenger as well as the freight level, especially to understand where those impacts are, and it can help guide decisions about where we focus, again, our resources and target things like wayfinding, right, for freight, for example, or for passengers. It's also going to help with stakeholder outreach and engagement. We know that that's going to be key. We have to reach a lot of different folks. As I shared, we have all those different target audiences. And so this also has critical details for us that's going to help support that outreach. So as I shared earlier, in terms of next steps, I'll be returning to you this fall in September, or not quite fall officially, but fall for us, right? With the final TDM strategic plan, taking it to you as well as our regional council. And then over the fall and winter, we're going to be working on our communications and outreach strategy and implementation plans for these different strategies I just highlighted. Now, I have an opportunity to invite Caltrans Principal Engineer and District Liaison for the Games, Tasha Higgins, to share more of an update with you all on Caltrans' work on the Games Route Network. And I have to say that Tasha Higgins, if you haven't encountered her before, is a force. I liken her to NASA, and that she makes me believe the impossible is possible. And so with that, I'm going to invite her in to share an update on the Games Route Network.
Good morning, all, and thank you for having me. My name is Tasha Higgins, and good morning, Chair, Vice Chair, and the Transportation Committee. I'm the Principal Engineer for Caltrans, leading these efforts as I stall while the slides are coming up. For about 3 years, I have been overseeing the Caltrans effort for LE28. Coordinating activities, collaborating very well with our partners and partner agencies, defining the state's response to this momentous occasion. And I count the days by 743. That's how many days we have until they descend on Los Angeles. Transportation is the backbone of our society, ensuring that everyone gets to where they need to go safely. Almost there. It was here on my screen, but then I don't see it on yours. Here we go. Awesome. Okay, so our charge is to provide consistent and reliable travel time for during the games time. We're heavily dependent on the demand management strategy that SCAG is doing. We can't do this if that TDM does not work. So next slide, please. The Games Route Network, or you may have heard the term GRN. GRN is what it's called, not GERN or GRIN. It's GRN, stands for Games Route Network. And it is a network of freeways and local arterials that will allow the Games family vehicles to travel to and from their locations safely. There are 4 objectives. The first one is for athletes and officials. The second is for other credentialed staff. Third is for spectators, employees, and volunteers, which we work with our partner agencies at Metro, and it's called the GET system, the Games Enhanced Transit Service. And then we have the public transportation that is can use the managed lanes, and we have legislation that has been approved that allows the public transportation to use the managed lanes. The public will be restricted from using those lanes for travel. So that's why, again, our TDM is very important. And the next couple slides, I'll explain about the local GRN and some of the improvements that will be there. Next slide. Now, before I tell you, in general what the map is, I want to put into your mind a picture, and it's been put into my mind, which has made my mission that more important. So imagine working your entire life on a sport, and since you were 3 years old, and you finally get to one game. Maybe 2 if you're really good, but you can maybe get to one game, and then you miss your competition due to traffic or transit. That actually happens, and it did happen in 1996. So in 1996 in Atlanta, that happened. And so in the year 2000, the IOC, the International Olympic Committee, came up with the idea of the Olympic Route Network. So that is to help get athletes to and from their venues. In 2012, it was actually put into the host city's contract that if You want to host a city, you have to provide a games route network. So it is contractual part of the host city's obligations. And 80% of that route being on state highway, that puts us in the game. So we're in there. So this will be the first time a games route network has been implemented in America. So 3 times we've hosted the games in LA. It was codified in 2012. So even the 2002 Utah games did not have a GRN. So this is the first time it's here, and we're going to make it work. The Games Route Network is about 3,000 square miles. You can see it goes as far north as the Sepulveda Basin, and as far as where BMX and skateboarding competitions will be, as far south as Trestles Beach in San Diego County, where the surfing competition will be, and as far east as Pomona. And for the first time, cricket. We'll have cricket as part of the American Games. It's 80% on the state highway and 20% on city and county streets, totaling nearly close to 400 centerline miles. And we have a contingency network as well for emergency purposes. Next slide, please. I have this slide to give you guys a picture, understanding of what we're dealing with. So of the 369 miles of Games Route Network, there are, I would call them 3 segments of routing. That first on the far right, which is the white area, is considered the Olympic area within the vehicle perimeter. The vehicle perimeter is established by Secret Service, the United States Secret Service, based on operations to ensure we have a safe games. Everything inside of there is the responsibility of LA 28 to administer. The middle area are our local arterials. So if you think of the first mile, last mile, anywhere off the state highway system between the highway and the venue, that is the responsibility of all the local governments. The local municipalities, they will actually implement their traffic management plans and transportation improvements, signals coordination, getting all the cars off the freeway and to that vehicle perimeter. And then that one on the far right is Caltrans, the highways. So if you look at the mileage, you can see the number of miles we're covering for that 3,000 square mile. Our plan is to dedicate our HOV, high occupancy vehicle and toll lanes for those game travel. And in a couple locations, we will be using the far left lane, number 1 lane of the general purpose lane for the dedicated travel. We will be having a construction moratorium where we will be restricting construction to not impede any work. For the local improvements, they will also be doing bus-only lanes, dedicated lanes, some temporary, some permanent, restricting parking and circulation, moving flow. One of the things I didn't mention is the millions of people that will descend on Los Angeles. The equivalent of that is 7 Super Bowls per day, in and out 7 times for the Olympics. And for the Paralympics, it's 2 Super Bowls per day. So managing this influx of traffic is a huge effort. And so some of the cities will do circulation patterns to ensure that cars can keep moving. And the Games family can keep their appointments. Next slide. A variation of the slide I just showed you is one of the difficulties that we have. So you noticed in the last one, the freeway was on one side, the local arterials were in the middle, and the secured perimeter was on the right. But in this one, the local street is gone. That is because the perimeter crosses the freeway, and in some cases, the rail lines. So because we have in 2 locations in Galen Center right here downtown, where if you notice, the Galen Center is really, really close to the 110 freeway, and Honda Center in Anaheim. It's really close to the 57. So in those cases, we have to come up with specific security plans and how to make sure that those areas remain safe during the games. Next slide. As I mentioned, I was working for the past 3 years on this, dedicated. My management thought that it was important that we dedicate staff to this effort, and it has proven to be a very good decision, because we have been collaborating with multiple efforts. So I would put SCAG over all of these. But if you look at the ones on the left, these are the different work streams we are collaborating with. Of course, with LA 28, and the city of Los Angeles is leading the first last mile effort. We have coordination with Metro and their regional integration of transportation and the signal coordination, making sure all of the local cities are in agreements with Metro to share camera feeds so we can keep the region moving. We have the GET system, I mentioned that already, is how we're going to get the spectators, athletes, and volunteers in and out of the venues, as well as working with, on the right side, the all levels of law enforcement, from the local PD all the way up through Secret Service. And then on the right, you can see all the other, there's so many entities. It's the most collaboration I've ever done in about 33 years of working, so it's pretty challenging. Next slide. This is why TDM is important. This is what we want to prevent. This is a real picture from Paris. It was given to us by one of the members that actually went to Paris, a friend of ours. You can see there the bus. That bus is an athlete bus that needs to get into the secure perimeter. The secure perimeter is crepe paper, a little piece of tape going across. People are out of their cars. They don't know where to go. They don't know what to do. Cars are trying to make U-turns to get out of there. It's something that, and then last but not least, as it concerns us, freeway is backing up. The ramp is backing up onto the freeway. So all of this confluence of confusion is what we are trying to prevent by doing this early planning and making sure we have the Games Route Network working on both the state highway system and the local streets, and why we need TDM. Next slide. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Do we have any members of the public wish to speak on this item? Thank you. Great. Okay, so now we'll move on to Transportation Committee members that wish to speak, and we'll go with Commissioner Ahir.
Thank you, Chair Judge. And thank you, Ms. Higgins. That was a very well presented, informative, bit that you just gave. If you don't mind, I would like to preface a comment before my question.
Sure.
I just took the metro for the first time today from Norwalk to downtown LA, and I would like to give some feedback. It was great. First of all, the staffing was amazing. All the way from the ambassadors that are appointed there, very warm and very welcoming, to the security guards. They also had information on the direction aspect. So I really appreciate the cohesive. I even called the voice box that's there.
Yeah.
And the woman was very receptive. She started with, "How are you?" rather than what do you want, So big difference. I appreciate that. We also brought 22 students today from ABC School Unified District. So just want to give them a huge shout out. They made it on time. And yeah, it was a good experience. We took 2 lines and all the information was presented really well. So I think you're on the right track. And with the information you provided, we're going to get there further. I do have a question about one aspect that's not really mentioned here in your packet. It has to do with cleanliness. So a thing that I notice more so often every year, it's the freeway sidelines have started to deteriorate, like the plantations kind of dwindle as we go forward. There's like brown patches. I remember in my teens when I got a ticket, I could pay it off by cleaning up a part of the freeway. Is that still a program?
I believe it is, yes.
Okay. So, and I mean, in America, we have tons of nonprofits and volunteerism. If we could activate a volunteer program, official program for the games to kind of revitalize our greenery, our cleanliness, I think we're going to do well. In terms of the metro, the train was exceptionally clean. It's just, I feel like we could do more. When you look outside the window going from Rosa Park Station to downtown LA, there's like windows of opportunity that I feel like if we communicated with the city officials to have them see that part and just start cleaning up, it's going to look a lot better.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, and first, thank you for using transit, because it's something that I'm actually changing my mentality as well and trying to be a part of this TDM and find another way to get around. And so thank you for that.
Absolutely.
As far as the cleanliness, yes, we are working on a maintenance plan, enhancement plan leading up to, well, we've actually done a lot of improvements leading up to FIFA, and we're going to continue that on regular cycle leading up to the game. So thank you for that input. The focus at this time is going to be on our, like the routes you saw there. But yes, as part of our normal maintenance plan, we will make sure that the routes are clear.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Wu?
Thank you, Chair Judge. I'm from the city of San Clemente, so we're the
Okay.
hosting city
Yes.
of Tressos.
Mhm.
My question is about, the first question is the rail part of the game route network at the Tressos. It's a little unique.
It is.
The second question, are you going to take over our local streets?
Can you repeat your first question? Is what a part of the Games Route Network?
Yes.
Which part?
It is railway. part
Oh,
of
okay.
Yeah, because your network consists of a highway and a local arterial streets
Yes.
only.
So rail is a part of the Games Mobility Executive. So Metrolink is a key partner in that, and OCTA are partners, and Metro are partners of the Games Mobility Executive. So yes, we know that rail comes down right across the Tressos Beach location, but no, not a part of the GRN. So it is a part of the transport. We will get athletes, we will get spectators and the public to all the venues using rail. That's one of our mitigations. No, we're not planning to take over everything in San Clemente. So the way the route goes down to San Diego is through wayfinding signs. And then once we get to Cristanitos, they will exit and go down to Trestles in the same way they go down for the competition coming up in September, which I plan to observe. I'm going to be down there.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Manos?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Quick question. You don't have to get into details, but
Okay.
something that wasn't mentioned, it's an election year.
Okay.
What do we do about protesters that are blocking highways and whatnot in order to create noise and draw attention to whatever their cause is?
That's so right. And I don't have an answer to that, but I do know it's been brought up in our transportation security meetings. So.
Right. Commissioner Dutre?
Yes, I was just wondering on the freeways, you mentioned here in the network of freeways. I'm assuming the freeways will remain open for public. There'll just be less public lanes, more dedicated lanes. So what's going to happen?
That's correct. So our current managed lanes that we use for HOV are going to be dedicated to the games travel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And as far as you mentioned the 57 at Honda Center, for example, so that's going to be rerouted for security purposes?
Only the heavy vehicles.
Only heavy vehicles.
Trucks and heavy
Okay, passenger
vehicles.
vehicles. Okay. Got it.
Correct.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Any more comments, questions? Thank you very much for that presentation. It was
Thank you.
outstanding. Okay. I'm going to move on to the chair's report. Last month, SCAG published its new SoCal Greenprint web-based mapping tool. SoCal Greenprint supports local jurisdictions, transportation agencies, stakeholders, and local communities to make strategic land use and infrastructure decisions, support conservation investments, and offset the impacts of transportation and development projects. A user guide with information on how to create an account will be available along with the release of the tool. I'd like to thank the Transportation Committee member Ziola here for organizing a visit with all of those students that she mentioned from the city of Artesia. Welcome. Thanks for being here. I hope you stayed awake. Thank you. Yeah, your trip to SCAG was awesome. I mean, that's great that you did that. Thank you. And reminder that SCAG will be dark for the month of August, and we will reconvene in September. Now, can I have a Metrolink report?
Sure.
Marty, Commissioner Seminoff?
Sure. On Friday, the 26th, Metrolink conducted a public hearing on its current simplified fare structure, which was part of a pilot program that was set to end on June the 30th. Pilot included fewer ticket types, lower monthly pass prices, and expanded the fare discounts for students and veterans. We had a nice turnout of the public, expressed strong support for making the simplified fare structure permanent, noting that it helped reduce a lot of confusion. Metrolink staff noted that the pilot contributed to a higher revenue in the 9 months since July 2025. Total fare box revenue grew by 14% during the same period a year earlier. Then based on the feedback received and the information shared, the board voted to approve the pilot program as part of Metrolink's regular fare structure. The Metrolink board also voted to approve a limited set of fare increases, which will take effect no earlier than October 1st of this year. A 14% increase in one-way ticket prices and an increase in the SoCal Day Pass. Weekday passes will go from $15 to $19. Weekend passes from $10 to $12. And Metrolink is actually further evaluating service reductions in light of the projected fiscal year operating budget shortfalls. Staff is preparing a operating budget based on current service levels, with service currently reduced 20% compared to the optimized service schedule. A schedule and operations budget are anticipated to be presented at a special board meeting next month in August. And then we continue to seek funding to keep the programs rolling. And we're been having, I guess, great success with the FIFA and our employees actually assisting.
Okay. Supervisor Spiegel?
Yes, I'm on the Metrolink board also, and I just wanted to make note that we did discuss, not this meeting, but previous, all the other cities that host have jacked up the prices. We did not do that. So just regrettably so, we didn't. Could have made up those funded that we need. So, but I just want everybody to know that we did not. It's going up in the annual. We haven't raised prices in Metrolink in 13 years. So that's a challenge in itself. Now that we're doing it, it has nothing to do with the Olympics because the other areas were significant increases.
Thank you for that info. All right, so now we're going to move on. We don't have any staff report. Are there any members of the Transportation Committee that want to make an announcement? Okay, no hands. Great. Our next meeting is scheduled for Thursday, September 3rd at 9:30 a.m. I want to thank you all for your participation and have a safe and responsible and a great independent